Thanks very much, Ian. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here this evening, and thank you to the Ottawa Business Journal and the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce for inviting me, and to everyone for joining us here at the Westons 22. What a fabulous room this is. I've never been here before, but wouldn't it be great to watch the fireworks from here? It's just so great. It's just beautiful. I'm here on behalf of Gowling WLG, and we are honored to be the keynote sponsor of this event. And on behalf of our firm, I'm so very pleased to have this opportunity to introduce Vicki. I go back with Vicki to the first year of her Activator program, which was just an awesome program that she's going to tell you, I'm sure, lots about tonight. And I just wanted to say that after Vicki's presentation, we're going to be moving into a Q&A period, so feel free as we go through the program to think of some good questions to ask Vicki. And please don't be shy. Now, on to the introductions. Our keynote speaker this evening, Vicki Saunders, is an entrepreneur, an award-winning mentor, advisor to the next generation of change makers, and leading advocate for entrepreneurship as a way of creating positive transformation in the world. Vicki is the founder of SheEO and Radical Generosity. I should say hashtag Radical Generosity, a global initiative to radically transform how we support, finance, and celebrate female entrepreneurs. Vicki has co-founded and run ventures in Europe, Toronto, and Silicon Valley, and she's taken a company public on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Vicki was recently named one of 30 world-changing women in the conscious business by Conscious Company magazine, and of the 100 most influential leaders of 2015 from EBW, Empowering a Billion Women. In 2001, Vicki was selected as a global leader for tomorrow by the World Economic Forum. And I think that's it. Vicki's saying, please stop. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Vicki Saunders.
I'll wait for tech to get its stuff together. How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm always very excited to come back to my hometown. I was born, well, actually I wasn't born on Saunders Farm, but I grew up on Saunders Farm. And how many people have been to Saunders Farm? Oh, yes. The best. You know, whenever you say, have you been to Saunders Farm, nobody has a frown on their face. It's my favorite thing. And my brother is here with his wife, Angela, and they run the farm. So yay to them. So I'm going to jump right in. I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Even though I grew up with this crazy family, every single night at the dinner table, we were talking about things that we wanted to create on the farm, and then the next day we would go build it, and then we'd iterate it. And it was a dreaming environment. Like, I was surrounded by dreamers all the time, and doers. And I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because I wanted to do something sort of big. I always felt like I wanted to have a huge impact, but at the time it was absolutely not cool to be an entrepreneur at all. It was like, I didn't know any entrepreneurs. I was surrounded by teachers, and I definitely didn't want to be a teacher. And so I was trying to figure out what to do, and I decided to, I applied to do my PhD, and my brother at the time, Mark, who is here, was living in Paris, hanging out. And I thought, I'm going to go see him and decide what do I really want to do. So when I was over there, the wall fell down. And for those of you who are too young to know that there was a wall, you can Google it, because I know some of you may not know that. But it was actually a really big deal when the wall fell down. And I thought, oh my God, history's in the making. So I was in the square. And my bro was there too, Mark. And it changed my life completely. I was surrounded by people who were dreaming about what they were going to do now that they were free. If you are a creator or maker or entrepreneur or someone with a passion to make a difference, I really think this is absolutely the most amazing time to be alive. Everything is getting redesigned. Everything is being disrupted. It's a huge, huge moment, and it's just so exciting. And now I think that the biggest challenge that I see for redesigning this world is that we have this mindset which has really stopped us from creating a different approach, a different way of being. And the biggest challenge that I see around mindset is this. We are obsessed with winner takes all. Does everyone know what that means? Yeah, like, so if there's a prize, one person gets all of it. And this has gotten just off the charts crazy. So now all of our capital just wants to chase unicorns, which is this term for companies to get to $1 billion overnight. It's about winning the market, winning everything. And this has led to a world where five people have the same wealth as 3.5 billion people. When I started SheEO a couple of years ago, it was 85 people. Last year it was 62. Now it's 5. It's a complete nightmare. And that is part of this larger challenge that we have. The speculation economy that we live in is 50 times bigger than the value creation economy. And so the speculation economy is where we bet on stocks going up and down, right? There's no value being created across that. That's 50 times bigger. So it's a really big challenge that we have. In 2008, when the markets crashed in the US, they found $17 trillion in 3 weeks to bail out the banks. And that's such a crazy number, 17 trillion. What does that even mean? But $17 trillion is 600 years without hunger on the planet. We found that money in 3 weeks. There's a ton of money out there. We're just really messed up about how we're spending it. We need to really rethink what we're doing with it. And this is, again, a mindset shift. How can we rethink that? And if you think it's kind of screwed up at the big level, it's also really screwed up at the level of women. So 4% of venture capital goes to women. Do people know that stat? It makes me crazy. Yeah, unfortunately, I hear. Yeah. 4% of venture capital goes to women, less than 1% of corporate procurement. So when companies buy from other companies, less than 1% of that goes to women-owned companies. And it costs us a ton of money. $12 trillion is lost because we don't have gender equity around this. And just FYI, we are not a minority. We are 50% of the population, right? Like, we're not a niche. So we got some work to do here. So really, we made this up. We need to change it. Everything you see around you, we made up. Okay? So I started thinking, how do you shift this? How do you change this? I've been obsessed with this my whole life. How do you do good and make money? How do we create societies that are livable? And so what is that new approach? So I'm a weaver in my mind. I'm a synthesizer. I'm very interested in a lot of different things. And so I collect pieces and pull them together and then try and find a new sort of path forward. So let me take you on a bit of a journey here. So capital inflow. Have people heard of the term Indian giver? It's a really derogatory, terrible term that we made up. And let me just tell you a little story of where that came from. When the white man came over to Turtle Island, which we now call North America, we were given gifts by the indigenous people who are here. And that is their way of creating a relationship. They give a gift. And now once you accept that gift, we're in a relationship together. And what we did was very confusing to them because we held on to the gifts. This is not what they do. When you get a gift, you hold on to it for a while and then you pass it on. But we were just accumulating it and holding on, and they were confused by that, so they came back and asked for the gifts back because we were breaking the relationship and the cycle. It's supposed to be in flow. Capital, money, is energy, and it's meant to be in flow. So that concept I was thinking about, because we have this crazy accumulation culture, right, which has led to 5 people having the same wealth as 3.5 billion people because we're not keeping it in flow and relationship. And then I saw these stats, which kind of blew my mind. Women make 80% of purchasing decisions. We're set to inherit 75% of the largest wealth transfer in history will be in the hands of women. And we're starting businesses at 1.5 times the pace of men. So I started thinking about that. And then crowdfunding came in. And that was another piece of the puzzle. And so we created this new design of how would you fund female entrepreneurs and innovators who could help create a better world, get those ideas, because we're living in a world which is designed by men for men. Nothing against you guys, but like there's 50% of the population that's not at the table, and it's a big problem. So this model that we have with SheEO is 500 women contribute $1,100 each. We call it an act of radical generosity. You do not get your money back. You do not get a tax receipt. It's radical generosity. And that money is pooled together, and then it's loaned out at 0% interest to 5 female entrepreneurs who are selected by the women who contribute that capital. Paid back in 20 equal installments over 5 years, and then loaned out again. The money is just constantly kept in flow. You give your $1,100, and that money gets paid back, loaned out again and again and again. And our goal is to get to a million women and $1 billion perpetual fund as soon as possible. I'm going to show you an example. Do I need to click, or you've?
Traditional mobility devices emphasize the disability. They're designed to move the body from one location to another location, but they're not designed for the user experience. So I started realizing that what I needed to design was a vehicle for social change.
This may sound a little dramatic, but my life changed.
Yesterday, as we're walking, we're actually walking side by side, and that hasn't happened for a long time.
This is a rethinking of the walker and the wheelchair. So this woman, Barb, was walking through the park with her mom, and her mom said, "Over my dead body, will I ever use one of those?" Someone was hunched over to walk her. She started thinking about, why have we designed it that way? What is that about, and what happens? And so 80% of people that are in wheelchairs or walkers are depressed. 50% of people who are using a wheelchair can still move their legs, but there's nothing for them. So this is to move, and as you start to use this bike and move your body, you actually keep yourself strengthened, right? And so you don't have this downward spiral and deteriorate. We have a number of activators in the room. Could you guys put up your hands? Yeah, thank you so much. Can you give a clap to all these women who have written these checks? Amazing. Thanks. And I'd just like to ask, how many of you voted for Barb? Everybody? No? Yeah, maybe? Okay, cool. So it's this, imagine we literally trust the intuition of 500 women to decide which companies to pick. We don't have 5 experts in a room. We literally, and I would trust the intuition of 500 women over 5 experts any day, honestly. I really don't think we know how to pick winners in the world. I think it's a big struggle. Here's another example. This is completely different. It's breathable food wrap. So food is meant to breathe. It's got a rind on it, and it stays alive, and as soon as we wrap it with plastic wrap, we cut off all the air, and the food dies. So when you wrap an avocado with a Bigo, it stays green for 4 days. And that lemon, who would eat that lemon after 10 days wrapped in plastic? Not me, no. So it's a really cool product as well. We have businesses from all across the country that are applying. Canadian money that gets raised here stays in Canada. And we're in countries all over the world at the moment. We're just getting started. This is another example. This is Heartbeat AI, and she is using artificial intelligence to track the empathy that we have towards products and services. So she can take text from social media, from customer feedback, feed it into the AI, and then she looks at the emotions that are underneath that so you can better understand your customer's feedback. Another really cool idea. This is Magnus Mode, and it's an app for people who have cognitive disabilities to live more independently. And she's working with many companies around the world. So here's our impact to date. We have 3,000 activators and 32 ventures funded in 3 countries. And our goal is to get to 1 million women as soon as possible. And at our current growth rate, we will have a $1 billion fund by 2026, which is unbelievable to me. It means 10,000 female entrepreneurs are going to be funded every single year. And the sort of magic sauce around all of this is that this was an idea born in Canada. It's governed by a Canadian not-for-profit. We don't have structures set up in other countries, so we are literally going to be leaving a $1 billion fund governed under this Canadian entity for the world. So there's a very special sort of brand Canada story in this that feels like the timing is really perfect for that as well, given the current government we have. We have a very disruptive feminist business model with SheEO, and this pretty interesting federal government that is feminist at the moment too. So it's a really amazing time to be Canadian. It's really not a great time to be American. And I speak a lot in the United States, and everywhere I go in the world, because we look a lot like Americans, I'm very careful to go, before I start, I just want everyone to know I am Canadian. And it's just a really beautiful time to be Canadian. I'm very excited about it. I'm just going to show you a video to end this, and then we can go to Q&A. For generations, women's innovations have been sitting on the sidelines, underfunded, undersupported, and undercelebrated. How would you act differently if you thought you were surrounded by radically generous women? Women make 80% of purchasing decisions. We're set to inherit 75% of the largest wealth transfer in history. And we're starting businesses at 1.5 times the pace of men. For us, underneath all of it, it's how can we create a space for women to support women, to create the kinds of businesses that we want to create in the world. The goal is, as quickly as possible, to get to 1 million activators, $1 billion in capital loaned out every year, 10,000 new companies every year. A distributed global network, thousands of regions with thousands of women activating their capital on behalf of great companies.
The concept is so simple that it's genius. The idea that we could change the financial landscape for women in business that can actually change the world.
Having 500 new people in your life who get you and want to support you.
SheEO is a different concept altogether. It's transformational.
I learned that I'm a visionary and I'm an inventor.
We are one step removed from whatever we need. We're radically transforming how we support female entrepreneurs. Imagine if the world was actually designed by us, if women were at the table. A world designed by us is a game changer. If you had that support around you, would you be bolder? Would you dream a little bit bigger? So imagine if you're surrounded by radically generous women, because you are. We announced that we had 7 new ventures yesterday in Toronto and 5 in the US last week, and we're super excited about it. So we're going to the Netherlands, Mexico, and Australia this year, and we have 150 regions around the world that have applied to replicate this model. So it's a very exciting thing, and thank you very much for being here tonight. If anyone would like to activate, be part of this, apply as a venture, you can find information on our website at sheeo.world. And I love answering questions. I'm super unplugged. You can ask me anything. So when we get to that, let's do it. Thank you very much.